Hi, this is Bonnie from Lavinia World. I'm the design team member for YouTube. And if you've been following along, the first video I did showed how to do a mirrored image of the tree trunk from Lavinia Stamps. Then the second video that I did, I showed you how I did the moon. Today I'm going to show you how to finish this off by stamping the images and the flourishes or the flowers and all the fun stuff, and how to attach it to an altered box. So you can hang this up on your wall or set it on your shelf or do whatever. Or if you prefer not to, you can still make it into a card. So let's get started, and I'm going to show you first the images or the stamps that I used. And you can get all of these from Lavinia World. And the first one that I am showing you is the Slender Mushrooms Mini LAV 151. And that is all of these little mushrooms that you can see right there. And then I also used a Lavender, and that is LAV 093 Lavender. And then the new bunnies, and those are LAV 608 Wild Hares set. And I did two out of those three. And then the berry leaves, LAV 577. And I just used this one. And then this was beautiful, and I might have this upside down in my package. It is called Luna Lights, and it's LAV 594. So those are the stamps that I'm going to be using. I'm also going to be using some VersaFine Clair ink, Nocturne, and I'm also going to be using VersaFine Clair Morning Mist, and I will also be using the Nuvo Embossing Clear Powder. These items are all in the Lavinia World Store. So let's get started. I'm going to move this out of the way. And the first thing we need to do is pull up our very last thing we did at the last video. And if you want the links to check what I started out, how I got this started, I have the links down below this video. If you it says see more, it'll list all the videos, the first video and the second video. This is the third video. So I've already set up two of the stamps in here, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be stamping and embossing with a clear embossing powder. So after this point, I'm going to speed it up slightly so that you don't have to wait for me with the heat and everything. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started with that. So that's going to be how that looks. And then I did a little bit more embellishing. And what I did was I used the white gel pen, Jelly Roll pen. And all I did was I added some stars and I added some dots. If you noticed, I embossed everything around, and then what I did in the gray, I left plain and did not emboss it at all. And then I'm just going to highlight, like if the moon is glowing on those, where the highlights would be. And do that to all the moon, or to the mushrooms. Something you can do rather quickly. And then you can go ahead and add stars throughout. You already can see some of the stars that were stamped in the earlier video. And these just are like background ones from a distance. And that's pretty much it. Now that we have the card all stamped, we are going to go ahead and adhere this, attach it to a base. And what I did first was I prepared the base. But before I could put this on, I wanted to show you one of the things I have to add before this can go on the base is I have a token that has a sentiment on it from Tim Holtz. And that is going to be going on this project. And all I need to do is put a hole in that and then put a brad through that. And then that is going to be going on top of the prepared base. But I'm going to show you how I prepared the base first before I go ahead and add that. So from Hobby Lobby at Christmas time, they had these two wooden wall word frames. Put that up just a little bit so you can see both of them. And this is how they come. It came this way. It has burlap on it, and the sides were red. I know I got these like 90% off, so I probably paid like a little bit more than $1 for them. And so then what I do is I take black gesso, any black gesso, excuse me, and I paint around the entire outer edge, because I know that my project is going to be covering up the middle part. So that's not a problem. You don't need to put any black gesso over this part at all, just on the sides. And so that's what I did, as I just painted with black gesso. Black gesso to me is like a paint primer for your walls. And except for one of the things that's really nice about black is that you can also adhere wax to it, and it'll show up differently than if you painted it white. So one of the things I did after I painted this entire thing is I have this wax. It's called, the name of it is Art Alchemy, and it is Opal Magic, and it's turquoise santin. And what's really cool about this wax is that it looks white, but when you put it on, all you do is I'll show you really quickly. You can see how I've already put some on. This was solid black. You just put a little bit on your finger and you rub, and look what happens. It's like magic. So it's like, goes totally with our project. It's magical. So I just wanted to show you how that works, so you didn't have to watch the whole process. And I rubbed it across the top, and I rubbed it across each side, and that prepared the base for us to put our project on. The next thing I did, like I said, is I attach the sentiment to the middle of this, or not the middle, to that part right there. And I'm going to go ahead and show you how I quickly do that. All I do is I figure out exactly where I want it, and I'm going to be putting things around the outside of here, so this has to come up just a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and just put a little pencil mark right there in the middle. And then I'm going to use my punch, and that will be attached. pretty quick. And I know sometimes these brads are a little bit stubborn coming apart. So let's see if we can get this one to work quickly. So that's basically what it's going to look like. And the reason I'm putting this on first is in order for it to adhere, I have, this has to be behind. So the next thing that I will do is I will put Mod Podge all over the back of this, and then I will adhere that and let that set. All right, so once that has dried, or you feel comfortable with it drying, it's still drying a little bit in the center for me, but I wanted to go ahead and show you what I did next. This is the fun part. You get to go and find some twigs in the yard or at a park and that have fallen down on the ground, and you bring them home or wherever. We have some in our yard, and to look for some that have a little bit of character to them, that have a little bit of pieces that are coming out from them would be fantastic. So what I did was I measured these off to about where I wanted them, and I broke them where I could break them. Otherwise, what I use is the, oh, I can't think, these aren't pliers, these are cutters. And I just basically kind of crease these around, and then I break them. Or if they will cut through them, great. So anyway, that is what I'm going to be putting around the outside to frame it out. And this is the pieces that I have selected for this. And they're going to all go basically like that on there. You can break off the little knobs so that they lay straight if you want to, however you want to do them, but I am overlapping the corners. And actually this one's going to go underneath all of those up there at the top. But before I'm going to glue these down, hot glue these down. But before I do that, I wanted to add a little bit more texture. So I'm using this, it's not really twine, but it's like what you would probably wrap packages or whatever in. This one's a little bit rough, it's not really wide. And I cut 4 pieces big enough for each corner. And I'm going to glue these down first, hot glue these down first, and then I'm going to tie them up. So I am going to go ahead and do that off camera, and then I'm going to come back and show you how I'm going to tie them up. So I have all of the pieces hot glued down, and I forgot to say this is twine, I cut them so that they were about, I would say, 4 inches long on each side, but you can do, depending on how wide yours are, how long you want to make it. So then each one, like I said, is hot glued, and I glued these pieces down first, and then I went ahead and glued the wood twigs on top. And all I'm going to do is just tie these off and make a double knot for each corner. And you can rotate them the way direction you want them, and then you can trim them back. And that's probably what I'll do, is just trim all these a little bit back. The other thing I tried to do is when I went to glue the twigs down, I did try to make it so that they kind of like went over the edge of the paper that's already back behind there. So that's the final part of this project, and just wanted to say thanks for stopping by, and please don't forget to subscribe and come back on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We have different tutorials each week, and it's really fun to learn all the different techniques.